Welcome to the Call of Duty Global Pro League presented by the PlayStation 4. We are live with the final week of group play. Of course, this week for Group Green. Day one kicking things off. My name is, of course, Benson. I'll be hosting the studio throughout the weekend. Joining me, as always, is my beautiful expert panel. We have Call of Duty World Champion TP, former European professional player Momo, and Call of Duty XP chat. Why are you shaking your head at me, Mo?
I just love when you flirt with me, Ben.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah, call me beautiful.
Oh, you are.
What a great guy.
Dashing group of young gentlemen, that is for sure. But we are excited to get the final week of group play underway. And honestly, in terms of the big storylines, here is a look at our groups as they stand so far. TP, is there anything that kind of jumps out as a surprise to you when you look at this?
Not too much of a surprise, to be honest. I guess the one, maybe EG not making it in that first group over there, but the rest of the groups, it really could have gone either way. The competition thus far throughout the stage 2 has been so darn good. Red Reserve put up a good fight in the last weekend, but Splice, we really expected them to edge them out.
Definitely did. Excited, of course, for Group Green. That is going to be this week's action. Optic Gaming, Team EnVyUs, Epsilon, and Cloud9, of course, all going to be competing. But before we kind of talk a little bit about that, we should talk about the Stage 2 playoffs prizing. Momo, so much money on the line.
Yeah, you can see there first taking 200,000, a total of 500,000 off $1 million. Incredible amount of money. And of course, yes, this is a Stage 2 playoffs, but you make it to playoffs, you're heading towards champs. There's so much money on the line, millions and millions of dollars just around the corner for these guys. But for the focus for these 4 teams, get to playoffs.
Obviously, Teep and Merc know what it's like to win on the bigger stages. Momo, for me and you, we can only dream, that's for sure. But there's definitely a chance in a couple of weeks' time where you could walk away with a serious amount of money if you win both Stage 2 playoffs and COD champs. Oh my God, that's so much money I don't even want to think about. But here, of course, I look at Group Green, Merc. I mean, expectations, I know it's a tough one, I know.
It's going to be an all-out brawl, man. I think Optic Gaming, obviously disappointing finishes for these guys over the past few months. Envy, even more disappointing. I mean, their worst placing ever at Anaheim just, a month or so ago. Epsilon, a lot of spotlight on them. They missed Stage 1 playoffs, but they go huge at Anaheim. They win Sheffield in Europe. And then, of course, to round it out, the new, young guns in Cloud9. How well will they do? They had a 4th place finish at Anaheim. They didn't beat the best of teams, I would say, but a lot of eyes on them.
Definitely excited for this week's action, that is for sure. We expect some pretty close games, and I'm excited to see which 2 teams do finally get out and secure their spot, of course, at the Stage 2 playoffs. Moving forward, though, let's talk a little bit about players who have impressed you guys and players you think need to step up. Teep, I'm going to start with you. Your player that impressed you was Priesta. Why?
Overall, Joe touched on it, one of the young guns on the squad, but at Anaheim, the guy was able to put on so much pressure with an ERAD, and I've been, highly praising a lot of good ERAD players throughout the year. I think you need one on your team at least if you want to have that, upstaging pressure, especially when it comes into those close quarter hard points. His Slayer number is so good, almost edging up towards 25. The KDs are about average, but I think the amount of aggression that this kid puts on at Anaheim, there's so many games where he could single-handedly put the team on his back, and for a young player to be able to do that, he's been impressing, even going back to last year, sort of an amateur rising up through the ranks. He's got his chance now here on Cloud9. He's been doing a great job, and hey, 4th place, it's a big improvement with that roster change.
Definitely a big improvement. Moving forward, Momo, touch on your pick. This was the guy that a lot of people said could have been an MVP at Anaheim.
Yeah, he really could have. I mean, Dave had that kind of moment where if Epsilon win the tournament, he gets MVP. That kind of goes without saying. His Slayer rating across all 3 game modes, whether it be in S&D, Hardpoint, Uplink, is phenomenal. He has stepped it up, and people are looking at this guy alongside the likes of Zero from Europe, and I kind of wanted to highlight him as kind of the European specialist, like to understand this team. Dave, when he's firing on all 4 cylinders, he will be on fire. He can bring the heat to any of these teams that he's playing against today. That's the man himself. He likes to wink a little bit as well. But yeah, he's a player definitely to watch out for this weekend. And I think Epsilon just in general, I was kind of looking at this group and thinking, when was the last time we chucked a European team in with 3 Titans like this and said they can compete? And it was such a long time. This last kind of 12 months has really shown a couple of teams, and Epsilon definitely one of them.
Europe definitely stepping up as a region, that is for sure. Moving forward, we'll touch on your pick, Merc. I believe you went up to Gaming Crimsix.
Yeah, I went with Crimsix. I just thought at Anaheim he had a really great event. One of his best events, obviously a 1.22, a very high Slayer rating, that S&D, something he specializes in. Just look at that smile. Look at that guy. You know what I'm saying? But sort of the big thing in Anaheim was he was running the NV4, something that was a little bit different. Sort of a controversial decision because he's going up against the likes of Octane, of Dave. Should it be formal? Well, I guess we'll find out here. Even if they made that switch again, we'll see what's happened. But I just thought overall at Anaheim, he really stepped it up.
Yeah, Crim definitely had a fantastic event. Now, though, to the flip side of the coin, who needs to step up? TP, I want to start the discussion with you. Who's your pick?
So this is going to be a controversial call. I'm going with Karma, though. When you look at this Optic Gaming roster, the way that they play the game, albeit not right at times, they need to pick up slaying. And when they do struggle and do get that, 7th, 8th place finishes that we're not used to seeing from them, it's Karma that sort of lacks in the KD category. I think they have several other issues with some of the other players not helping them out at times, but at the end of the day, when you look at these juggernaut teams like Splice, like LG, all 4 of those players, specifically in the hardpoint game type, are all going to be, above that 1.0 KD, hovering around that 1.1. If all 4 of your players are able to do that, it makes the game so much easier on you and the squad. So I think Optic Gaming, they have seeming to be working on their teamwork a lot, but when Karma starts to fall behind, they start to lack. So
I think the big thing too with Karma, if you look at Optic Gaming at Anaheim, they went 4-0 in pools, like a perfect record. It's when they got to that bracket that he really struggled.
Yeah.
When they were losing, I believe he was the big difference maker. He had like a 0.6 or 0.7.
Right.
So that respawn kitty even got worse when they played those top teams. So he's definitely that player that has to step it up in the slaying category.
Karma, of course, 2-time world champ. No stranger to a little bit of adversity. Yeah. Expect him to have a good weekend here. Moving forward, Momo, your pick?
I went with Josh again, another European, and again, can be looked at as a controversial kind of choice because when he went to Sheffield, he played fantastic. He won the event. It was great. But Anaheim, it was a little bit different. Yes, this guy brings a lot to the team, which isn't recorded on a stat base. But I do think if he picks his respawn KD up, this team can top this group. This team can legit come first and, surprise a lot of people. The one thing that I always say, whether he's performing on the day, that Josh, his communication, his hype, yeah, it's all great. It's not on stats, but if he steps that little bit more up in respawn, this team is one to watch.
Definitely, of course, Josh, a European veteran, that is for sure. And last but not least, Murky, you were another 2-time world champion in the East to impress.
Had a very bad event, and I went with JCap, and this is one of my favorite teammates. We won a lot of titles together, but these stats are just absolutely horrendous. A 0.77 respawn at that event, under 20 kills in slaying. I mean, I get that he's the leader. He plays a lot of the objective. That 0.77, I expect it to be around like a 0.95, right? That's something that is acceptable in my eyes. So he definitely has to pick it up. He has to be the leader, which, EnVy needs, because EnVy, the past few months, I mean, they were world champions, and since then, it just hasn't looked great.
I think as well, something to touch on, like Merc said there, sometimes Cap is that kind of one that isn't going for those super high scores or whatever it is. You look across the board, Karma, Josh, they've all got that kind of style about them. It's not your formals, your octanes, or your high slate.
Right.
You're going to have, worse stats. I think Teep will be the first to say, with all the championships he's won, he'll come out of events with a 0.9. But it doesn't matter if you're winning. So you kind of got to take it with a pinch of salt as well.
Definitely do. But of course, they are the players you guys think will impress, and also players that do need to step up moving forward. Though we'll take a look at today's schedule. Kick things off, Epsilon versus Team EnVyUs. Then we have Optic Gaming versus Cloud9. Of course, Cloud9 in back-to-back action as they go up against Epsilon at 7 p.m. And to close out the day, Optic Gaming versus Team EnVyUs, the E-Classico, if you will, at 8:30 p.m. That one should be a good one. But we'll talk a little bit about that first series of the day, Epsilon versus Team EnVyUs. Have you seen an improvement from Team EnVyUs in your eyes since Anaheim, or not so much?
If anything, things have gotten worse. I know Cap took some time off for some vacation. I know the guys just aren't getting along too well in the team. Just some controversy. And, I dealt with Slasher and Cap when things weren't going too good, and it's safe to say that some arguments can happen at times.
The toxic place.
Exactly.
Very toxic.
The toxicity comes into play, and for a player like Apathy and John, they might not be the most vocal people in the world. So if you just sit there, you get on, and you just play to play, what are you really improving on?
Right.
You go back-to-back last place finishes in comparison to what you can finish. The worst placing in the org's history. Everything on a downhill spiral here for EnVy, and we talked about Cap having a bad KD. It is unacceptable, but the rest of the players too, what have they really done to set themselves apart to get those good placings? You know what I mean?
Right.
John went from the COD Champs MVP to very, very average. Apathy started off this year, one of the best players in IW. At Anaheim, pretty average.
Yeah.
So, and Slasher's sort of the same. all these guys playing on an average level, getting average placings.
This definitely could be their time to turn things around, but I believe the first game of the day about to get underway, so we can send it down to our casters for the series. It's Maven and Courage.
Thank you, Ben. Jack, you ready to go, buddy? This is gonna be a fun week. We've all been looking forward to this.
Everyone had eyes on week 4 from the second stage 2 was announced. Everyone knows how many veterans we have here. We calculated it. I believe coming into this weekend, of the last 3 weeks, there was 3 COD Champs rings in total. This weekend, there are 9. You count the 2 from JCap, obviously everyone from EnVy. You then bring up Crimsix. It is absolutely nuts to see so much talent, so many veterans, but then you look at Cloud9, you look at some of the breakout players and Epsilon, a lot of new talent as well.
We're excited. This first series could set the tone because I know for me, like, if this is going to be a very interesting group, it comes down to EnVy. What EnVy are we going to see? And when you look at this team, they've had a bit of poor luck with their groups. I mean, look at Anaheim. They were in a group with LG, Epsilon, both finishing top 3. Red Reserve, we know what they're capable of, and they kind of tilted early, fell apart. Ultimately, I think, bounced by Allegiance, which is what was unexpected. But if they come to play this weekend, I'll tell you what, buddy, this is going to be an insane set of matches.
Epsilon, what can they do against 3 top-tier North American teams? Yes, we've seen some shakiness from EnVy as of late, but we'll see if they can get back on track here in stage 2.
And, you know, talking to Aches a little bit yesterday about this Epsilon team, he thinks this is a series EnVy can win. Epsilon has been getting, from what I understand, they've had a week here in North America. They've been getting smoked in scrims by some North American teams.
Don't lie to the people. You just said this is a series Aches thinks EnVy can win. When you just asked Aches' prediction, he said, I think EnVy sweep it 3-0, make it look easy.
He did. Well, here we go. EnVy finding the first 3 kills as they're breaking over top bridge.
Oh!
A team kill, though, does come in, but early controlled EnVy.
2 kills of a team kill from John. That actually, after all of that, swings it over to Epsilon. Talk about the worst start you can have from EnVy off the break.
How good did it look?
It looked great.
For just a moment, it's like, they got the kills, they got the setup. Falls apart quickly. Now Scarabout.
Well, really quick, that's the question that gets brought up with the team issues of EnVy. Yes, there have been some internal struggles. You've seen it already with the tweets from Slasher back in Anaheim. Then right there, that's one where John's got to get vocal with his team. Hey, guys, got a nade coming on in. It's going to be near that white car. Watch out for that. Get away from it. Instead, 2-player stack on that. Because of that, Epsilon are out by 30 seconds.
There was a nice start for Hockey as he started out 5-0, was getting close to bombardment, dropped just before picking it up, but a nice early lead for Epsilon. And I definitely am excited to see what these guys can do. I know they've had a strong resurgence here over the last couple months, but you don't get 3rd place at a major tournament unless you've got some firepower.
Listen, yesterday's hot mic was filled with a lot of spicy quotes. One of the biggest actually came from Dave on Epsilon when he brought up his thoughts on Zero from the side of Splice. Dave, a player who's had his name, up there this year as one of the best in Europe. Everyone knows Zero, though, has been atop that list, it seems, for the last 3-4 months. Dave this weekend has a chance to prove, hey, Zero's time has come and gone. I'm now the best in EU. And right now, his team's up by 50.
Well, exactly. Is this their chance to take over that spot, at least for a moment? Splice looks so vulnerable, utterly average in a lot of ways this past weekend. You have a really strong finish here. Maybe you take the group. Heading into playoffs, that's got to give you some confidence.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's now Vortex. He's trying to watch out for this mid lane as well as top bridge. You saw the awkward timing there. Thankfully, does get out with his life for just a brief moment. Epsilon up by 30. These next gunfights are totally key, though, as EnVy are now beginning to pinch on in. They want these back market spawns. I think they're going to get it for the moment as JCap gets first blood on Vortex.
Yeah, that was a huge kill by JCap. He actually gets both. Now pushing assist there on the 3rd as Slasher backs him up. That's 4 in a row for JCap and a brilliant break here for EnVy.
EnVy trying to claw back into things. Streaks now being called in as well. That should force out a couple players from EnVy. Does look like it'll take out one. Epsilon now, they should be pushing up on the bridge. They're actually playing quite passively. There you go. Now finally Josh will hold that sprint button forward. Aptly, he's just playing his life, wants to make sure they can push back in with the streaks of their own.
Was waiting to try and get a 4-man push, and unfortunately the rest of his teammates end up dropping around. I mean, we talked to JCap about who he expects to kind of go big this weekend.
Okay.
Who he's looking to have a strong performance, and he said John, which I think Aches had some funny comments to go back at, but he expects John to have a good weekend. And on the other side, Dave said Vortex. He's been very consistent lately. He's looking for a big result from him this weekend. We'll see who can get the edge in our first series.
And you saw in the players that impressed and players that need to improve, Josh actually came up with the players that needs to step up. He had some lackluster numbers for Anaheim. We've seen him at times, be one of the most impactful players in Call of Duty when he's on that team. and be one of the players that kind of really falls behind, especially with this aggressive slaying that he has built around him.
JCap, last time we head to Graveyard, gets 2 opening kills to try and get the break. This time, he's found 2 again. He's 11-7 right now, trying to tack on another. It's Apathy there to help him in another nice break from Envy. The good thing for them this time, you don't have a Trinity Rocket now available on Epsilon to break. You might be able to rack up a lot of time here, maybe get a lead change.
Oh, exactly. Unfortunately for JCap, his lane at top bridge is now being pushed. There's also a pinch developing from Vortex. How long can he hold on for? Trophy system defense saves him from 1 grenade. Epsilon with that first blood. JCap now about to be swarmed, and yeah, you see the NV4, not the weapon you want to have for that close range engagement. It was tied for a brief moment, but Epsilon should get close to cracking that 100-second mark as we go into the final hill of the first rotation.
That's twice now that Envy's been able to tie it up, not actually take the lead, start getting over that hill. They keep trying to battle from behind, late and hard points. There's a final bit of seconds going to go to Epsilon. They've cracked the 100-point mark. We'll hop over to Vortex's POV as he's able to pick up John here at the lower street. Checking scaffolding, one in the back. Slasher's got him teed up with the NV4.
Yep, and Slasher's just trying to stay alive right now. He's got to watch this lower street push for his teammates so they can get plat control. This is what I like to see from Envy. They've got every lane being pushed. Beautiful stuff. As John gets those 2 kills, they realize they no longer need that pinch. You have JCap now just staying alive on that top bridge area. Slasher searching for 1. He's got the kill onto Dave. Envy with a great retake towards this top hotel hallway.
Let's see if they can actually take the lead this time. That looks to be the case, as they're still soaking up some inside a hallway. Have to dip out as the pressure is mounting. We're watching John just holding this closed door. They're already pre-firing it, trying to take him out. And again, they get so close, but not able to actually overcome it, as Epsilon fighting back in. Back and forth we go.
You saw earlier, JCap realized he didn't need to go for a pinch, so he falls back and holds the lane for his team. This time, Slasher recognizes, whoa, they're about to push right on through. He then gets the pinch, picks up the 2-piece. Now he's fully streaked out, which is key for the second rotation.
It really is. You already saw the effect of the Trinity Rocket from the side of Epsilon earlier.
Look at this.
Let's see what you can connect on for Slasher. Trying to tee him up, call-outs in, 2 down. This should be bridge control early for Envy.
Yeah, Josh is just doing what he can to try to stay alive, be a nuisance. Not going to happen somehow. Envy, they have still yet to retake the map. Apathy falls off the side. Even after all that, Epsilon keep control of the hardpoint.
Doesn't that look like the opening bridge a little bit, right? Like things look really good. 3 kills for Envy, and then it turns into a bit of cluster, and they lose control. Epsilon's lead now, once again building. Hockey trying to put some shots in. Close to building a Centurion, just falls a kill short off of that Scarab as well. 3 kills though in the kill feed for Envy. Vortex, the lone man, will be dropped.
JCap spots Epsilon beginning to rotate, so they should know they have the rest of this time. And he actually cleans up 1, looking for a second here as well. Not going to happen that time, but either way, the damage has been done. The information has been relayed to his team. Envy still within 15 seconds, fighting for every second they can get now in this hard point.
And I think this first map's really crucial. Not only does it set the tone for the weekend in a way, but if you're a team like Epsilon that's come in and you've struggled in scrims a little bit in North America, or you're a team like EnVyUs had abysmal results over the past couple weeks, just getting a first win could be absolutely crucial. I think even more so for EnVyUs, just with the way things have been going.
Can we swap over to Apathy really quick to see exactly how he's playing right now on this map? 8-11, far below the rest of his teammates in engagements by a lot, actually, by about 8 or 9. Yes, he's been inside the hard point for a majority of them. Thankfully, does break right on through, and now he'll push for these spawns at back market. But Apathy, a quiet game from him so far. I feel like if he begins to turn things up, that's where Envy can see a lot of success.
Trying to connect right with the K-bar. Able to do it while mantling second, though. Not able to finish it, but most of the kills going the way of Envy for now. Here we go. EnVyUs in the lead, 149 to 148, and they're pushing the back spawns. You've got FTL ready for John to spawn out. They're pushing across bridge and the mid lane. JCap ready here in a good position to find 1 as they cross. Second, just weak. That would have given, it's only a couple seconds, but still, those are big kills to slow down the onslaught that's going to come from Epsilon.
This, for me, could be a huge opener now for Envy in this game. If they can get these kills in rotation, hold the hard point, really take this lead. Somehow, Josh has snuck into that hill as he's pushed across bridge. Apathy trying to stay alive top market. There's 1 player near him. I don't think he has any idea. Nice shot onto Josh, help out his teammate. Second engagement, gets him 1 shot, but there's 2 players there for Epsilon.
Can the remaining player hold? The answer is no. John gets cut down, and Epsilon is broken through yet again. That's back-to-back times. It's been early control for EnVyUs at Cathedral. Epsilon makes it look easy with or without streaks.
It's just those clutch moments, man, that right now Epsilon are just doing a better job at, especially near this money hard point. Apathy gets first blooded again. He's kind of the one pushing on through for his team, the first line of defense. Epsilon still narrowly holding on to this lead. They should be giving it up here as they rotate now towards this back broken side, but Envy, they just can't seem to win a rotation and lock it down for a majority of time.
I believe all streaks have been used for either side, so you'll have early setup now at broken building for Epsilon.
some scarabs here and there, but that
yeah,
really
nothing
to play to hotel hallway.
Exactly, nothing big, but you do have camo for Slasher. See if maybe he opts to invest it. They're waiting to push. Look at that number 2 on the minimap, though. That's Dave, who spawns out in behind. If he gets a fortunate timing here, could cut down a couple players from the rear. Spots out one for his team. There you go. Easy pickings as they cross. Well, I say it's easy pickings, but the cover there makes it a bit more difficult. He does tag up a few, though, and it's Hockey and Vortex cleaning up everybody.
Wow, the shots from Dave. Everyone on Epsilon winds up picking up a kill there, except for Josh, who just sat in the hard point for his team. Now at 90 seconds in the hill this game. John trying to see if he can clear out this bridge lane. Dave still just staying alive for the side of Epsilon.
You have a window here to maybe pick up 20 or so seconds if you're Envy. There was one player remaining. He's now been cut down. You get the final time here. You bring it a bit closer, but not able to do so as they fight back over bridge. Epsilon trying to get in for the final couple ticks, but it'll be John actually from Envy. That will do it.
What a map from Hockey so far. 24 and 14, 70 seconds in the hard point. Of all the players you talked about on this team, he was probably the last you'd bring up.
And think about it. It's like that 5-0 start that got him the Trinity Rocket. That also turned into like 30 early points when they broke into Graveyard. He's been very impactful on the map thus far. Kills going back and forth here. Slasher trying to locate one that went vertical on him. Finally finishes it before being traded out. But this is looking to be a barn burner. Going the whole way down the stretch.
Apathy just staying alive, top flat. You can see Epsilon, they're trying to get towards their areas. They go for a break. Unfortunately for them, it's going to take them a little bit of time as Envy are still down by just 18 seconds. Slasher with the 2-piece of the NV4. The final cleanup, they spot the last player. That's a full hold from Envy. Now the lead swing can change right here if they can lock down the rest of this time.
And you got a couple people building towards streaks. Slasher has 3 in a row. Apathy as well. And again, Slasher's camo could be so crucial. Wins that one-on-one versus John. 300 now off the Trinity Rocket. Can he play for these streaks? He's already gotten a full set in this game already.
Think of how badly Envy wish they could get back that first hard point. We start off with John's 2-piece team kill with that grenade. It would make all the difference in this map. 2 seconds right now. Slasher still with his camo. Multiple payloads up for Epsilon. Top bridge should be the end of this map.
Oh, I was almost thinking like maybe you consider investing camo to get fully streaked out. He got the time in the hard point. He was so close. They got 1 kill off the Trinity Rocket.
Oh.
But as he falls, it's John doing him dirty.
This is the John that they've wanted now, 25 and 21. Slasher 30 and 17. These are the duos that really went big, especially on that champs run last year. Dave, one final push, but look who's behind them. It's Slasher again, shooting them in the back. Camo's all that they have to go for this break. Nearly gets 2, but with one final push, that's all the hopes of Epsilon on this map.
They're trying to push forward, but everybody's set up from Envy. Centurion not going to do you anything here. Reactive out for Apathy. A 3-piece for Slasher. And game 1 goes to Envy. Woo! I think that's huge for this roster, buddy.
Slasher. The whole map was just kind of lurking with that NV4 and then explodes in the last 3 lives. I believe he had, what, a 5 streak, like a 7 streak, and then another 5 streak at the end. He had earned streaks earlier in that map. Double positive from Slasher right there.
And that's something, I mean, think about, I think they went 3 and 11 in pool play on maps at Anaheim, right? The only win they got was over Red Reserve and a reverse sweep. When was the last time they enjoyed just winning a game 1, kind of getting off on the right foot and maybe playing behind a little bit of momentum? They haven't had that feeling in a while.
The smile we just saw in John's face, it's been a decently long time since I saw that one, right? They not only win it, they fill their roles that they have to. I was actually really interested to see how few engagements Apathy had for the majority of that map. As at one point, he was down by like 8 or 9 overall just engagements total from the rest of his team, but he was leading in time. Apathy, typically someone you expect to be a little bit higher up on that list.
Yeah, but he's a guy that in the past has taken a little bit of flack for not always making the smartest play. Sometimes going for the hero play and hurting the team. Maybe if he's taken maybe a little bit of a back seat there, playing the objective, making those smarts heads-up plays, he relied on the rest of his teammates to go big, and they did just that.
You could think of a moment where really every player made a big impact there from Envy. In that game, John's 2-piece at the end, obviously the negative impact off the first grenade on Bridge Hill, but you think of Slasher with the multiple streaks. There, 2 big pinches. He had the one in Hotel Hallway there at the end of the map as well to shoot the 2 players who were going to follow up after the camo. If Slasher doesn't pinch right there and get that 2-piece, Dave's camo is the entry. You then have 2 more NV4s from Epsilon ready to gun down whoever's on Envy. That ending of that map would have been much, much different.
And honestly, I mean, it could have been a more lopsided victory for Envy if it wasn't for, giving up the streaks early to Hockey. The misplays we saw at Bridge. Like, I know it was down to the wire, but a few mistakes from Envy, and that could have been more of a blowout for them.
Oh, definitely. But on the other side of Epsilon, it's a frustrating map 1 loss. I feel like that was one that you had the lead for, what, 9 of those 10 minutes, and then it just kind of fell apart at the end of the hands of Slasher. Hockey goes off. Can he keep that performance going? You got to shake that one off.
That was the hard point you had to win, though, if you're EnVy. Breakout's the second hard point in this series, which if we get to a game 4, Epsilon has been fantastic there. Talking to Dave, it's their favorite hard point. It's the one that I believe something like 9-0 recently. They've been absolutely dominant on it. I don't see EnVy beating them there, so it's huge that you get that first game 1 win in hard point. And now, can we get EnVy and S&D like we saw all the way back to stage 1, where they were one of the best teams in that game mode and recently have been very lackluster?
Stage 1 they were. At Anaheim, they were abysmal in the game mode. I think Apathy was the only one who actually had above a 1.0 KD. The rest of the team was like 0.75 and below.
That's similar for about every game mode.
They were, I think, 1-6 in S&D overall. I mean, they looked like majority of the time they had no idea what they were even trying to do on the map. Hopefully it's something that they practice. Coming into this weekend, we know E-United, prior to their weekend practice, some S&D scrims offline, like with streams down, just trying out different things against the likes of Cloud9. So I expect to see some interesting stuff right out from Cloud9. I was talking to Formal a little bit earlier on. Everyone has some tricks up their sleeves. They know how important it is to get top 2 in this group to play at playoffs next week.
And back to my first point kind of before we started, like, I just feel like so much rests on EnVy here. If they play to their potential, literally any team can come out top 2. They're probably the only one I didn't have really any faith to do it. I'll tell you what, they win this first series, I'd be very, very impressed.
Hey, last weekend we were wondering, what Red Reserve is going to show up, what E-United is going to show up. You could almost make that same case for any team here.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, I would compare EnVy, if I was picking a team last week, kind of Rise coming in. They've been really, really struggling. We know what they're capable of. Rise obviously not able to do it. Can EnVy do it here?
Well, already EnVy trying some different things you're not used to seeing on this map. It's an all-out assault towards this B site. As JCap was going to try to go for a plant for Barnside. You don't see this ever.
Josh may have just got brilliant timing, but if you can't hit the shots, it does not matter.
I thought I was watching my gameplay there for a second. I mean, he didn't even get close to killing someone. Josh.
Okay, finally Josh is down, but now it is a quick 2v2. Slasher putting shots into one from behind. He tagged him up but not able to finish it, so it will be a 1v2 here early. As I'll tell you what, Slasher maybe not hitting a lot of the shots, but he got so much information. The timing of the flank could not have been better.
Slasher knows one has a sniper, which...
Well, bye-bye.
Okay. I was going to say which could help him here if he gets a one-on-one gunfight and beats the NV4, but Hawkeye hits the shot. Epsilon win round 1. Geez, with the timing Josh got, I feel like that should have been way, way easier.
Well, yeah, you saw it. I think it was, Slasher that was in top blue. Just perfect timing for Josh. And again, even if he's not getting the kills there, still a ton of information. Like, think about the comms for EnVy once he starts putting shots in behind. Like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. You start panicking a little bit, things fall apart, and that's exactly what happened.
It was so strange to see them try to plant the bomb for barn. They don't have any barn control. And you think someone's going to be able to kill someone instantly if they just peek towards that area? Not sure if I agree with that one there.
Well, it was a 5-0 start for Aki in the first game. Now start out 3-0 here as well. This time it's Apathy getting in from behind and everybody dropping from Epsilon. Josh now, nothing to work with. Everybody still up for EnVy. All fall for Epsilon.
Folks, you cannot give up full map control in middle on Throwback. You need to have someone spotting it in some way. Even E-United, who put barely anybody there, would at least have silly wall running near that bomb, just peeking, basically just poking his head out, calling out to his teammates what he sees there for a second. There were not a single set of eyes on that middle map push. Hawkeye had a sniper, so obviously his vision is tunneled down towards Lemon. An abysmal setup from Epsilon there. I'm going to call them out on that.
Well, great round, though, for Apathy. Let's see what he can do on this side. Well, you're running into the MV4 a day. That's going to be scary, but at least you have Slasher to look over you from top blue. Mid-map for now, controlled by Epsilon. You see Josh has pushed up very forward here. Now, can he get into top ticket, maybe make a play? Nobody home yet. But in a similar position to find something like we saw Apathy in the previous round.
Josh spots one. Apathy now dead. Quick trade, though, from John. Nice reaction time from him to put it to a 3v3.
On board with Dave. He sees a couple there, makes one weak, doesn't finish it. Shots coming in from behind, but he's still alive. Vortex able to cover his back for a moment.
How does that happen?
EnVy wiped out, Jack. What went wrong?
Two players not watching underpass. Middle map control. First blood that came in was from Josh hitting middle map. Second and third kill was two more players hitting underpass. You cannot forget about that area of the map. Underpass is what kills teams when they don't communicate well enough.
Well, I know teams sometimes scared to put a presence mid-map. If you have a Nagathon or a Clayster that's so good at hitting that snipe over the top, you'll see them kind of avoid hitting the underpass. But you know, we haven't really seen that yet. Now let's take a look at the breaks and take a look at mid-map control here early from both sides. So Envy looks to be at least sending one. Actually, it looks like they're both playing kind of passively right now as the stack is going to be towards this B bomb site. The question is, when will the flank develop if Envy starts to make a presence there?
Dave, that'll be a very quick plant for Epsilon. As now they'll go ahead and set up 4v4. Envy gonna have to retake. Dave just gets out with his life.
Well, this time mid-map not involved at all. They have to try and take it back. 4v3 advantage for Envy. Apathy and Cruz starting to inch forward, checking top blue, sees nothing. One tucked away in the corner here. They don't spot it, gives Dave easy pickings, gets away with his life as well. That's huge. Hockey on the other side, also finding one. JCap trying to do everything he can as he's got 2 in this round, but now with 18 seconds left, has to pick up 2 players from Epsilon.
Another one of those scenarios where you just kind of think, why don't Envy just try to hop the bomb? Just try to make a play work. Instead, they're falling right into the pre-aimed weapons of Epsilon. So that's another round win for EU. So they're now up 3-1.
Well, to be fair, I mean, the only team we've really seen hop it a lot was what Red Reserve last week. They were not scared to sit somebody on the bomb, as you heard TP kind of criticizing that a few weeks back. The hesitation with it, the ability to probably catch people off guard since it's not done a lot. And they got away with, we had what, 3 maybe quote-unquote ninjas last week from Red Reserve?
Oh, yeah. They tried it once. Oh, it worked. Let's keep doing it.
All right. Okay, now offense back to Envy. They're trailing by 2 rounds right now. If you're just joining us, they were able to take the game 1 by, it was a close one, 250-230. JCap trying to look over top us, see what he can target. Gets 1 bullet into the player back Lime, or sorry, Lemon.
Apathy with this E-Rat again. He could just jump high over this wall and spot Dave down near the site. Got to do it at some point. Hawkey's going to get pushed. 2 more players down there from Epsilon. They do swing it with the E-Rats. Never checked by Envy. The duo of Dave and Josh just shred everybody right there.
Yeah, you feel pretty good. You go over the top. Apathy and Slasher work together to get a kill, but tucked away in the pockets there, you have a couple of E-Rats. Just slice them down as they get position. That round fell apart quickly for Envy.
Super focused on killing the guy Lemon. They forget about the people that are on the other side of the site. Maybe they don't spot anybody crossing. I'm wondering why they put no eyes there at all. Now Epsilon are up 4-1. They've won the swing rounds they need to. It simply comes down to winning your defenses from here on out.
John now with the snipe. He's able to counter snipe the rifle of Hockey as the first blood will come in for Envy. They've got a big comeback to try and make happen here, but immediately your advantage disappears as Dave and Vortex both able to pick up kills. Apathy puts it back to a 2 versus 2. Josh, though, finding the final kill. 5-1, they're rolling.
What was the challenge from Slasher right there? I mean, they knew at least 2 players were sidewalk. He just jumps top train and gets shot at by 3 from Epsilon, and there's no opportunity for Envy to trade a single kill.
Those frustrating rounds, man, that you can't let slip away when you get an opening pick like that.
I mean, this is what Envy looked like in S&D at Anaheim, and it's why they went 1-6 in the game mode.
Offense now for Envy. Must-win round. Or could Epsilon close it out? FTL available for John. Vision now from Hockey and the Sniper. Just a little bit off of the overdrive. Passive defense on one side of the map for Epsilon. But now they're starting to hit mid-map. Here comes the flood. Apathy gets great timing, puts some shot to Dave, able to finish it. 2 there. Third almost gets gunned. Josh finally traded out. Now it's Hockey and this sniper rifle with a lot of work to do.
That's the adapting that you love to see. They put some pressure middle map. You know, they stop what earlier in the game would have been a round-winning push from Epsilon. And just like that, it's Hockey all by himself trying to retake a site in a 1v3 with everyone behind cover.
This certainly looks to be impossible, but he has found an NV4. Tries to pick one. Nice shot. Under 30 seconds to work with. Spotted another player, but wrapping back to mid is Envy, and they're able to find the final kill and stay alive in the game 2.
5-2. 1 round at a time is the mindset you have to have in Search and Destroy. Here's your final kill cam for the 2-time Call of Duty World Champion, JCap. As we'll move on through to round number 8.
Defense now for Envy, trying to stay alive. You see Slasher not having a great game, so unless he starts to explode, likely not going to see camo in this one. He sees 2 and 5. Let's see what the offensive pressure looks like from Epsilon as they've taken control of Bike Path. There's a flank coming through quickly. These should be easy kills. Everybody flooding through mid-map. We've talked about it all game, and there's the opening pick from JCap. There's another one from Apathy. Things falling apart for Epsilon.
Underpass exposed again. They get punished because of it. Josh is able to get one before getting out. Oh, nope, not going to get out with his life. 5-3. Envy staying in the game.
Oh, we've seen a couple 1-5 comebacks this year.
We have.
Trying to think, what, Optic LG at Anaheim? Can't think of any.
Retaliation, right?
Yeah, I can't think of any that happened over the past couple weeks in Stage 2. It is very infrequent, but Envy riding high off the Game 1 victory. See if they can do it here, round by round. They're trying to claw back in. Now it'll be on offense. We'll see Apathy very close to that reactive armor, just a couple kills away.
Oh, this should be. Whoa, they didn't spot him. Dave just ran right through Train and he wasn't killed. Envy though, yeah, okay, so they at least saw him. They know he's pushing here. Yep, look at how they're trying to pre-aim their middle map, their underpass, their ticket. They're making sure they can't be punished in this area again. Right now they're yelling that Slasher has to be the one to make the play.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Slasher starting to hit the flank.
He should be telling his team, just stay alive, just stay alive. Let me change this.
Does he check the corner though? It's such a common spot.
He's got to. How do you
doesn't check it? He doesn't check it, and he will drop first kill to Hockey. Envy now have to clutch up in a 3 versus 4 to have a chance in this.
Nope.
That's reactive views.
Once Slasher dies, I mean, once Slasher dies, that round is done. That round is entirely reliant on him getting that kill. Nice job by Epsilon. They keep themselves in the series tied up 1-1.
Well, how many times do we see when somebody pushes through on the flank? That's the first place you check, right? Just kind of the top of the roof.
Yep.
See if somebody's there. And we hopped off his screen for a second, so I don't know if maybe he glanced and missed it, but it looks like he just pushed out, was trying to get there quickly.
We didn't hop off the screen. He just didn't check it.
Doesn't check it and gets punished. Epsilon now tie up the series 1-1. So any momentum you had from that game 1 now evaporated here for Envy. Again, the game 4 going to be very scary for them. Uplink though, God, I don't know, man. I felt the series was going to go to Epsilon easily, personally, just because they've been playing so fantastic lately. But
there's one silver lining here. Ace is wrong. It's not a 3-0 for Envy.
it's true.
That makes me feel a lot better about how the rest of this day is going to go. Remember, up next, we have Optic Gaming going up against Cloud9. But right now, it's our first matchup of the weekend. Envy going up against Epsilon. It's tied 1-1. When we come back, we head on over to Uplink. It is the final week of week... Whoa, that made no sense. It's the final week of week what? No, hold on, let me reverse that. Welcome back. It's your G Fuel key player matchup. This one's between Epsilon and EnVyUs here in week 4. Dave and Slasher, though, our matchup here in Uplink. These are the points from the season, the juicy part of the COD World League as we've been going with the Infinite Warfare season since November. Look at some of these numbers, though, throughout 2017. 55 total points for Slasher. That incredible 1.05 Uplink KD shows how consistent he's been event to event. But Dave, his numbers have absolutely improved as the year has gone on, now breaching that 1.0 Uplink KD ratio. We'll see which of these two prominent ARs can step up big for their team here in Game 3. This has been your G Fuel key player matchup.
Josh bringing to the team, he goes the extra mile. With our last teammate, we didn't practice that much, and he allows us to play online a lot more. And he's also a great leader. He brings so much more to the team than just like individual.
He brings a lot of that team leadership in game. So in those intense situations at the end of the map, when it's proper close, he'll keep our heads calm.
I think the main difference, from when I've joined and the start of this game, is they slacked off. 4-foot Chum was their first big place in a major, an international event. So I think it got to their heads a little bit. I just always knew they're such good players on paper and had so much potential. They just needed to have someone bring it out, and I think I've helped them do that all.
Welcome back. It is Epsilon going up against EnVy. Epsilon battles back in the Game 2 Search and Destroy, type the series at 1-1. We're now going to be headed to Frost Uplink, and I know for the key player matchup, we're talking a little bit about the ARs, but here, the ERADs are going to be the difference makers. Who's going to have the edge?
It's almost like it's the AR who does best with an ERAD in some scenarios. Yeah. Which guy can really begin to pick up that pace? One thing we haven't talked about a lot is this EnVy team. They've been together since last year in the CWL. They won our champs. They're facing off against Josh. Josh faced them in the COD Champs Grand Final. We haven't talked about it at all. These guys have been involved in some of the biggest Call of Duty matches in recent history, and it's great to see them still playing at the top.
Well, Josh looking to take another EU team on a title run here. They've been excellent as of late. But they're in a nail-biter right now, tied up 1-1 in our first best of 5 to kick off week 4 of the green group. We'll look at the splits off the break. We'll be on with Dave. Just trying to line up. He'll be the K-bar on this team. Apathy, who had, you talked about pretty low engagements on retaliation, which can happen, but here, he is certainly, okay, well, he just scared somebody off the edge of the grenade, and that's going to be 3 down early. EnVy now with pressure forward. The toss away. It is picked off, though. Not going to go through. Still some aggression here, though, with Slasher in a position to maybe make a play. Apathy then on the backside. 3 down, drone up. Drone through, 2-0 early for EnVy.
ERAD's Apathy, 2-0 start. The brilliant shots there at the end, the help of John as well. Look at that, EnVy off the 2 respawns. They get good breaks. One was kind of destroyed off of a 2-piece team kill with a grenade. This time around, John didn't mess up that flechette, and because of that, EnVy have a 2-point lead.
We talk sometimes about matchups and just how teams play different styles. And Epsilon's the one team that's probably been called out the most by North American teams, playing a little bit of weird, throwing them off.
See, I love this. Really quick, JCap has already made the shot call for his team to push through ship. He has pushed through that entire lane and gotten to the side of Epsilon's base. As they were rotating back, JCap was already there pre-aiming. There was a fully clear lane to push the dunk. That is a fantastic shot call from JCap right there to give EnVy another dunk.
Well, they've got a 4-0 edge just over a minute into this one. Apathy getting pushed, trying to deal with the pressure, not able to do so. It's now Drone and Hanaki, his one person to deal with, tries to slide in for the melee, not able to do it, and the defense will hold strong for EnVy. Solid stuff there to hold the line.
9 and 2 from John. Great first respawn for him in Hardpoint. Now do we get it again in Uplink? This is your COD Champs MVP from 2016. Still middle map with this ERAD. Already gets one shot. Yeah, he's in full aggression mode right now. John, if he plays like this throughout the entire weekend, this EnVy team could be back in 4.
Let's see if the 4 streak can tags up another. Shooting lasers right now. It's Slasher. What drone here, backside of research.
Smart.
Just waiting, getting it down, getting gun up.
So they know right there, Slasher, if you're wondering why did he just go for the wall run and try to hit a 1? Epsilon had 3 players in their base, and that is one of the easiest interceptions there is in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. He just knows, let me stay alive, let me keep this lane pushed out for my team. Now because he lives, look what he can do with his squad. He can push through research. He's now pinching with a K-bar, has the ERAD out, does die to Dave, but either way, at least he was there for a presence in the map.
Hey, what did we talk about at the beginning? Like, what AR player can make a transition, rock with the E-Rad? Look at JCap right now. He's sitting at 8 and 6. He's had so many kills in aggressive positions. That's another dunk. Epsilon getting blown out right now on Frost Uplink.
These dunks haven't even been close. That's the thing. EnVy have had full control. A lot of it starts with the slaying. Everyone positive. 4 dead again. That's 3 times in a row where Epsilon have been 4 dead for not just 1 or 2 seconds, Maven, but for...
Oh,
okay.
well,
that's fine. They wanted to dunk. They got those kills because they wanted to dunk it. See, there's John. There it is, 8-0.
John now with 4 points. Also 15 and 5 triple positive. Slasher just tagging people up.
Guys,
the K-Bar has the E-Rad in his back pocket as well.
EnVy are on pace to outslay Epsilon by 50 kills in Uplink if they keep this pace up. It's not going to happen, but if they can keep killing like this, they will outslay by 50.
This is a slaughter, absolute slaughter to kick off the first half. Slasher already in an aggressive spot. Streaks now coming in from John. He's trying to make a play. Slasher does find 1 kill. Apathy involved as well. Thrown out. There goes John. There's the Streaks. This is another dunk. 10-0. What the hell is going on?
Epsilon, turn on your aim assist. You have to. There's got to be something wrong. I mean, you have 3 players double negative nearly after those couple of kills. Thankfully, they saved a few of them from that statistic. They are pushing forward with the drone. That should be a dunk from Vortex. There you go, a quick little rebound, but already the damage has been done.
You know, we talked to both teams, and they've both been boot camping, right? Epsilon's been out here for almost 2 weeks, and we've heard the scrims haven't gone very well. I talked to Cap about EnVyUs, and he's like, it's been hit or miss. He's like, we start out well, and our communication's on. We're not screaming at each other. We've had some decent games. Things fall apart. It's been very poor, but I'm wondering if you're Epsilon and you just got hammered these past couple weeks, if it just, I don't know, shook you a little bit maybe.
Vortex took a strategy out of my book right there, which is tunnel vision so hard on trying to find the player that you jump right off the side of the map. So unfortunately, he'll have to come back off spawn. There he is now as he'll grab that drone. 28 seconds left inside 1. EnVy have slowed down just a little bit, but either way, still a 4-possession lead on a map like Frost. That is nothing to shake a stick at.
You maybe get some late points here, Jack, for Epsilon. Dave has drone. He's getting pushed. You just hear the lasers of the E-Rad coming through. Teammate was there to help him out for a moment, but as everybody drops, that's going to end the first half.
It is scary how much better EnVy look inside Ship Bay than Epsilon. They just smoked Epsilon on that entire side of the map for the last 5 minutes.
What the hell is this weekend going to be? Like, if EnVy's going to play like this?
Dude, EnVy hated Frost Uplink more than anybody back at the start of 2017.
You got to think, like,
what is life?
Once Fnatic got through, remember week 1, and we're talking about how many teams could now get through for EU. Obviously, Splice gets through as well, but it looked like you were thinking maybe Red Reserve gets in. Epsilon felt like a lock to some degree, as good as they've been. I know it's only 1 series, but you drop this to EnVy. Not starting off on the right foot.
Follow John again on pace for 40 kills this game. He's 21-9, a big part of the reason why EnVy were outslain by over 20+ kills in just 3 minutes. Slasher trying to stay alive middle map. K-bar in hand. They're running a 2-2 setup. 2 E-Rads, 2 K-bars, all-out aggression. As now Apathy will continue to clear this middle lane for his team. It's 2 down at Epsilon. Thankfully, Vortex swings the tide back in his team's favor.
I know it's everybody right now, but the thing that stood out the most for this team last year when you're talking about EnVy is Apathy and John were just a wrecking ball, man. What they could do together on the map was unparalleled when you're talking about the end of the game. If they get back to that form, I had as little faith in this EnVy team as I think anyone on the planet coming into this weekend.
Well, think of when...
Prove me wrong, please.
Think of when teams have really started to break out and look in their best form. That has always seemed to be a similar case, especially in the more faster-paced Call of Duties. When FaZe really begun to make some big noise for themselves, in AW, it was Zuma and Attach, the duo going off. You think of Optic when they started to get into form. You know, you have Seth flying around, and you could put a submachine gun on any of that team's hands, and they would have a duo that were arguably the best in the game. EnVy on their Black Ops 3 run, they now do it, and even with Splice, when Splice wind up showing up big time, you've got Bance and Jerd flying around the map. Good luck stopping them.
You know, talking to Aches on Hot Mic last night, we were talking about Priest a little bit, and he was just saying, like, you have to have a dominant SMG. You have to have a dominant E-Rad on the map. Like, you have to. It's not like early in the game where you can get away with not, a lot of people didn't really like using it. You absolutely have to now.
Just think of what a relief it is for your team. When you have an this is JCap. I mean, we joke about JCap can't shoot straight. Apparently with an E-Rad, he's beaming everything.
He's 25 off the bombardment. He wants to pick it up now with the Trinity Rockets. I love this. Just getting him off a spawn, not allowing them to even get back for drone control. Tags up one, spots it, finds a second. Gets the bombardment as well. Now just trying to get to a good angle. He sees his teammate.
Oh, they never got the drone off the map.
Oh my God.
Throws it in for the, don't do it to him. Okay, Hockey does finally stop him. JCap now 26-15.
It's funny. Like,
Oh, isn't this the map that he once went off on as well?
Yeah.
Earlier this year?
It's amazing. And you say, like, what AR player is going to transition over well with a sub? JCap has been crushing in this one. Is there time to come back if you're Epsilon? Sure, but there have not been that many offensive opportunities. This is another one they're going to have. Slasher trying to deal with it all. The dunk will at least go in. So now you're going to be trailing by 7 points, starting to build towards a couple of those key payloads as well.
This is great from EnVy. Bring it, Cliff. This is the furthest point on the map that they could be from EnVy's portal. Right now, EnVy have a 4-possession lead. They don't need to get any. They don't need to put on any more points. If they're going to, they're going to keep the aggression up. But hey, even if they drop the drone right now, okay, what are Epsilon are going to take 25 seconds to just get near EnVy's base. Look, they just picked up at 2:04 on the clock. Let's see what they can do.
Dave just earned camo. They picked up a couple kills in mid-map.
12
They
seconds
turn this into a dunk. Could be absolutely crucial as he drops. You won't have camo to invest. You're going to go for the tough 1-point toss. You talk about how easy this is for the interception. It's up. It's real high. Tries to go over, not able to connect, but drone will actually end up getting reset.
That took,
as it hit the moon.
That was 30 seconds. That was 30 seconds it took for that. EnVy, just keep grabbing the drone, bring it towards Cliff. If things really begin to go south, you've got a bombardment as well to follow you up. 1 minute and 20 seconds left. EnVy, because of the explosive start they have here, they basically secured themselves this map win in the first 2 minutes of this game. Unless they have a colossal collapse, this one's done and dusted.
It's been all Epsilon lately. But will it be too little too late? A couple kills now coming through for EnVy. They clear everything out. Hockey really the only remaining man. 60 seconds, 5 points. I don't know if it's doable.
I don't think so either. And now finally they start to bring it back into ship, and this is where EnVy really got their big slaying advantage inside one. John and Cap now the duo this map. You think back to the Hardpoint, Slasher and John were the duo there. Again, a quiet series from Apathy, which you don't say too often, but you know what? If his team's succeeding, all that matters is W's. He'll just keep playing to what's been working so far for them in these maps.
I think we're absolutely going 5 maps in this series.
Yeah, well, you mentioned, what's game 4 again?
Breakout. That's where Epsilon feels very, very strong. Yeah. There is a camo dunk there. You're down 3. I don't know how you...
They've already used overdrive. They've already used camo. There's only 17 seconds left. Apathy, he's going to just throw it away. Yeah, there you go. Okay. There wasn't
literally not enough time.
But good game. EnVy take the uplink 13-10. Epsilon, if you only played for the last 7.5 minutes of that game, you not only win, but you win by a lot.
You turned it into another gear just too late, right? You said opening 2 to 3 minutes where EnVy just came in with a knockout punch and really took control. What do you say, outslaying by 20 kills in that one early. John, JCap, Apathy, everybody was going off in the slaying department. It was just too slow of a start there from Epsilon.
It was 2.5 minutes where Epsilon could never get control of their spawn. They could never get control of their base. They never had an open lane to push out. They could never contest drone in middle map. EnVy were assaulting from every single area, and because of that, they scored 10 points in just over 120 seconds. The final win, though, is only a three-point victory. So from a 5-possession game down to a 2-possession game, you could see as it went on, Epsilon began to fight back into it, but again, too little too late.
Yeah, you almost mounted a spectacular comeback. At least that's maybe something to take away if you're Epsilon. Yep. You brought it back. It was competitive. You didn't get completely blown out like it looked like it was going to go if you talk about the first half. But now it's going to Breakout Hardpoint, somewhere where Epsilon is spectacular, and we expect them to be phenomenal here. We're going to have to see which of the 2 boot camps really pays off here as the series starts to go down to the wire.
If I'm not mistaken, Dave's pinned tweet is a point from him in a scrim where he jumped off the side of the map, reset himself towards cell block. These guys just love Breakout Hardpoint. It's just one of those game types that it comes up and you're like, okay, we favor Epsilon here, no matter really who they're facing. EnVy, what a way you could play spoiler, though, by winning this map, beating them on their best, and really getting your confidence up for your game against Optic that you'll have later on tonight. They'll be the final series of the night. For you, Epsilon, what you've seen so far, they've dropped 2 respawns. Both have been pretty damn close, though.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if it's kind of that game 3 tells the story. It's just been kind of a slow start in a couple of these games for Epsilon, or if EnVy is going to be more of the potential that we expect from them. Like, we know how good this foursome can be.
Yeah.
We have not seen it for so long that we've kind of written them off. I said similar story to Rise. Like, Rise, after winning Vegas, I kept faith in them. I kept faith in them. I kept faith in them. Eventually, I was like, I don't believe this team can win.
Yeah.
Same for EnVy. Like, we did our roundtable, and I was like, I was like, there's no way EnVy gets top 2. I was like, any other 3, absolutely. I just don't see how they can do it.
You guys showed the Champs Curse video yesterday on Hot Mic, which some people believe in, some people don't. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts in the chat. You guys think that is the COD Champs Curse a real thing, or is it all just fake and teams just kind of fall off after they get that taste of it?
I think it's mostly BS, but it's fun to chat about, right? They talked about it a little bit, and I think what did Crim say? It's just like with the nature, of Call of Duty, with titles changing, with teams constantly changing. He's like, I don't think anyone's going to win a Champs one year and then win it again in the next game. It's so tough.
That's from the winningest player of all time.
Yeah, which might be scary for Optic fans, but I agree with him. That's going to be so difficult to do because you don't have many teams that stay together longer than a year to begin with, so there's not even the potential for that. But this EnVy team, what a great storyline it would be, though. If they won Champs last year, they were good at like 2 events this year, and then all of a sudden come Champs time, they're turning it up and they're in the conversation going into Champs. That'd be amazing.
EnVy weren't always in the conversation last year, but the moment they began to get in the conversation was when they took home the CWL Stage 2 title last year.
What a weird final. That was EnVy DT.
Yes, that's where they really begun to kind of figure things out.
I love you, DT.
That then transitioned right on over to Champs.
I don't know how they got there.
They did. I don't know what Merck said, I just agreed with him. Do you know what he said?
No, I couldn't hear him either.
You took an earbud.
Yeah.
I thought you had it there either way.
The only word I heard was Orlando.
I just look at Merck and I just look in his eyes and I kind of can't hear anything. It's just so handsome.
Mesmerized. All right, kick things off. We're watching JCap, who just had a spectacular game on Uplink Frost. Kills back and forth, but it's going to be a 2-piece for Dave before Apathy able to shut him down. Only a couple points so far as Epsilon got in for a few ticks, but
all that happened was the spawn flipped. That's the only thing that happened in that entire scenario. Now EnVy will get control. So at home, if you're wondering, my team in scrims, we can't get a ton of time on this middle hardpoint. What do we have to do? This middle hardpoint all comes down to controlling this area that we just saw John and Apathy engaging from. Out in showers. If you can get showers locked down, you can then have that crossfire right there from Slasher. Look what Slasher does. He kills Josh out of the hill. Now he'll stay alive and wait for some reinforcements. For as long as he's keeping the enemies out of the hill and letting his teammates get back towards middle map, now EnVy can go ahead, hop on in. Obviously only 5 seconds left, but either way, only 14 seconds on this first hill.
Yeah, overall, I think that works out great for Epsilon, except the fact that how do they get 2 players to spawn out? The push comes through brilliantly for EnVy. I was going to say, at least you flipped the spawns there, didn't give up a lot of time, but EnVy just bust on through so quickly.
And Dave just backs up out of garage, which gives John that close spawn there for EnVy. We've seen some awkward spawns on the backside of this map before, but this one really couldn't have worked out worse for Epsilon in the long run. Wow, this game can get blown open quick here.
I'm shocked. It looked like when you just took a look at what side of the map was controlled, Epsilon, you think set up nicely, but EnVy handled business, and now Apathy looking to tack on more damage, but he will end up falling. 2 kills for either side. JCap still inside as he's going to cut down Josh. Also, Hockey, see you later. 2-piece for the cap.
For the cap.
For the cap.
I like that. For the cap, 54-4 now, EnVy up. And they still have bodies here near the new hardpoint. Thankfully, Dave with that EnVy4. He's 6-4 right now. Vortex cuts down Slasher, so they have a full setup now. Here is their chance to get back in this game. Can Epsilon find the full 60 here?
And we know there's a map, there's going to be crazy swings. It will be here on Breakout. Vortex, though, man, this is going to have to deal with a lot of pressure here inside of Medical Bay. Just waiting for those arrows on the minimap to collapse.
Hockey's at the big gunfight. There you go. Hockey stops the pinch. Now everyone from Epsilon can continue to pre-aim towards Medical Bay side.
There's Vortex, 2 easy ones. He was waiting there patiently. 3rd inside. See you later. Wipe clean is EnVy and Epsilon. How quickly you can mount a comeback here if you get a full hold. There's a pinch now. As Apathy spawns out, he's going to be able to hit through caves. They've got one more crack at this. You got to keep that spawn, though. If you're JCap and you keep spawning back helipad, now let's look at it. This gives Hockey the chance to push helipad, spawn them all the way across. Now you can chain into commissary. That's literal worst case scenario there for EnVy.
Folks, there's the benefits of setting up the way you want to. Remember how I mentioned they have a perfect setup for a full 60? All Epsilon have to do is pick up middle map flank, which is what Hockey did, and then the rest of them just kill EnVy as they're running out of choke points. They have 13 straight kills now in the scoreboard as they've just gotten the full 60. It was 64-4, now 67-62.
Yeah, that massive lead disappears, but good job at least winning some gunfights right outside of commissary, which allows Apathy to now get inside. I think he was calling in a Scarab to try and check the wall run. Yep, there will be the Scarab. They'll spot a couple here outside of showers, at least slow down the onslaught from Epsilon for a moment. John able to hit the lower wall run. It streaks in from Vortex to try and get the break. You've got to turn this into points. Aki, though, as he falls off the map, is that going to be things falling apart for Epsilon?
This is one of the weirdest setups in Hills I've ever seen. It started off with Slasher flanking middle map with an NV4. Then you had John pushing the wall run, which never happens on Commissary, I think out of a panic because of the Trinity rocket. Somehow, in the end, it looks like Envy will get a majority this time, as Epsilon are going for one final push with just 7 seconds left.
With how it first went, yeah, if I would have guessed that it'd be a complete swap of points right now.
Yeah.
When Epsilon originally had Commissary, I thought they were going to start to blow the doors open, but Envy able to fight through, and also Slasher, we have to keep an eye on right now because he's on a 4 streak. He's getting very close to picking up Trinity rockets. He's going to get the initial time, so now just 50 points off, looking for an easy kill, but it's Apathy. He's getting loud, they're getting hyped.
So if you're wondering, you know, even with Epsilon leading a little bit in slaying by a couple kills, you know, how are they down in this game? Envy have beaten them on 3 of the 4 hardpoints we've seen so far. The only reason why Epsilon had any score is because 60 of their 67 points have come from Graveyard. Outside of that, they've scored 11 seconds between this top middle hill, between Cell Block, and between Commissary.
And the scary thing too, well, I mean, maybe it's a bright thing for Epsilon. You've had early setup a couple times, like when you think about Cell Block the first time through, they were there, Envy broke through easily. Same could be said for Commissary. If you get a more solid hold like you were able to do there in Graveyard, I mean, you could really tack on some points, but the question is going to be, what can Slasher now do? As he is getting trailed, spotted. They don't check the corner. They lost him. There he is.
There you go.
Hi, pal.
Yeah, they saw him just as he was turning the corner. Unfortunate for him. Now Envy will have to do what Epsilon tried to do last time, but failed to complete, which is a full retake from this top side of the map. You've got a pinch developing on your mini-map on the bottom side of it from Slasher, but it's Apathy who gets first blooded, and whoop, an insta-kill from Dave with the 3-piece.
My God, Dave cutting down everybody. How close is he now getting to streaks? Just a couple kills away, 150. Now off the Trinity Rocket, he's getting awfully close to Camo, and he has the ability to take over on maps like Breakout and Retaliation. He's 15-8, make it 16-8. Over a minute to go in the hard point, and Epsilon right back in this one. We're gonna have ourselves a lead change in just a couple ticks.
He is the exact opposite of me. He's handsome and good at Call of Duty. Can't say that about myself.
He has been impressing me so much as you continue to underwhelm me.
Vortex now in the hard point. Epsilon are up. As we know, they smoked Envy on this hard point the first time around, but this time they will not have the setup they want. Instead, it'll be the boys in blue now here. 137 to 118 will be the score as Epsilon go ahead and try to push out Medical Bay.
We talked about JCap, you know, that .77 KD and respawns at Anaheim. So far in the series, he hadn't been hurting you, right? Right now, though, 7 and 14. This is not the performance you need from him. He just had a brilliant game with E-Rad on Frost, too. You put him here with a gun he's more comfortable with and get dominated.
Vortex gets 2 kills. FTL jumps straight into the sky like a Marky B type play, and then dives back down for the 3rd. Breaks right on through with just his E-Rad presence there. Now up by 26 is Epsilon. This is their chance to take this game.
Still inside is Vortex. Doing a good job with the E-Rad before he falls. Apathy now with a 2-piece to bust through. They've got the control. But you see those blue areas on the minimap, pushing forward, making sure they get the spawns there for Helipad. Do they need to take another crack at this? No. Just get the cutoffs. Make sure you have Commissary locked down. You should have some very easy kills here in transition.
This has got to be frustrating for Slasher. He's been their one constant across the 3 respawns. He did great in Uplink, he did great in Hardpoint, and now he's really pulling a solid performance here at Hardpoint again. But JCap and John falling behind and slaying. Finally, as they get a couple.
How?
They've just wiped Epsilon and Maven. You look.
It's just back-to-back times that you're set up so well.
Oh, that can't happen.
And you just get destroyed. Now, oh God! Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be a solid 40-point Commissary for Epsilon.
Wait.
And Envy makes it look easy, but now fighting back across is Dave.
What? How does that happen?
And the camo to get away, and another gunfight, though. Cap gets the better of him.
Apathy trying to flood on in. He now earns his reactive armor. He'll stay alive for the moment. The low wall run cut down. The last player there is Josh. He's now dead as well. I was wondering how that even happened. Envy had Slasher watching their entire mid lane, but they still had 2 players stacked over there instead of helping watch the wall run. Not sure why they were doing that, but either way, the lead swap should come into play if Slasher gets in this hard point.
How much is this like game 1? We had a ton of lead changes there. It was always close. No one able to get really a significant lead throughout. We see that. Again on Breakout, 5 seconds left. Epsilon going to be enjoying a very minor lead as we now rotate out to our 3rd set of rotations, Jack.
I can imagine the rest of the pro players who are involved in the CWL currently sitting on like Mumble at home watching this like, bro, what are these guys doing right now? I think that was my Nameless impression or Ricky. I'm not exactly sure what I was doing right there.
If they had a child.
Yeah, right. Whoa!
There's
Don't
the
worry.
reactive.
That was reactive armor.
Yeah.
Was that disgusting? Yes, but he did have an obscene amount of health to do that.
Yeah, that does not happen without reactive, but it ends up being a key time to pop it, as now he's going to be soaking up some more time. Been leading the way in the objective. He had a lot of time in the game one hard point here, just shy of 90 seconds. Nice grenade from Dave, though. Over the top will slow down the streak that you saw building for Apathy. John trying to push out the other side. Him and Cap have been struggling, but they are starting to go clutch down the stretch.
Yep, John really turning things around now, trying to get this hard point as well on a 2 streak. Has one player next to him. Slasher watches over. 197 to 173. It's been 60 straight points now for Envy in this match.
Slasher, how close is he getting to streaks? He's 21 and 14. He's on a 6 streak. Can we check Slasher for a second just to see? Okay, so he's 125 off. He's got camo, gets the points here. He should be getting streaks, and that could be the key to closing down this game.
I mean, you got to think he wants to save the camo, but gets the streaks without needing to use it. Pushes out to the wall run as well. Okay, might have gotten a little bit ahead of himself there. 210 to 173, 42nd game. Envy looking to close out the series here. I can promise you they do not want to go to a game 5, especially with how bad their S&D looks.
John now inside, trying to make plays. 2 kills, nice shots. Is John coming alive? He was neg 10 now, bringing it back to nearly even. Remember, Slasher got fully streaked out in the game 1 hard point, doing it again here as well. How pivotal are those going to be down the stretch?
JCap now getting flooded again. He had a 2-piece here earlier in the game. Slasher's got his help. Everyone dead on Epsilon, and Envy are going to win the race here to cell block. They're going to win the race. Oh, sorry, not to cell block, to Graveyard. They're going to be the first ones here. Streaks now coming in. That was a headshot with a Trinity Rocket onto Dave. This is done. This map is done. This series is done. Envy are going to take it over Epsilon.
And I hate to correct you from earlier, but I believe Pat did actually say 3-1 for Envy.
Wait, he did?
Yeah.
I thought no, he didn't.
Did he say 3-0? I thought he said
3-0.
3-1, but he's a magician. Envy is going to do it. What a hell of a way to kick off week 4.
Woo-wee. Do we know how badly Envy needed to start off their weekend with that? In a group where you'd think anyone could wind up taking top 2, Envy come out and beat one of Europe's best across 3 respawn game modes, and that man on your screen, Slasher, was on point throughout all of it. If he continues to play that way this weekend, we could have an MVP on our hands.
Just Envy in general. I mean, I know it's 1 series, but I don't want to say people are shocked, but with the way Envy's been, when you're coming off your worst finish of all time in Anaheim, there's got to be a bit of shock there. And this just, what the hell is speaking?
Are we going to see like another FaZe from stage 1 type of weekend? Remember, FaZe only won 2 search and destroys. The last one was to qualify them for the top 2, where all they did was win respawns. With how Envy look right now, that could be the same case here.
I want the scenario from that week where it was, what, everybody 2-2 going into the final day? Or is that what it ended up being? That was insane.
It was nuts. But either way, Envy take the first series here on the main stage. That's going to do it for us at the casting desk. For now, though, we've got to hear how this series all broke down from Benson and his crew.
Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you, Maven. I think it's fair to say a surprising result in our first matchup. I think a lot of people may have had Epsilon pegged to beat Team EnVyUs, especially when you look at recent results, but it is the boys in blue that come out on top. A 3-1 victory over Epsilon to kickstart week 4. We'll go ahead and break down that series now. Of course, it all started with map 1, of course, the Hardpoint on retail, and it was a close one, 250 to 223. And I think the key really was Envy, even though they were down at times, they never kind of let the game get too far away from them.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but E United last week, sort of their first match on Retaliation, it was sort of the same thing. They were never leading throughout, but they stayed close, and I think that's very important for Envy for this weekend because they're a team, and we talked about it in the pregame, they tilt, and they tilt hard, right? So this is a team where if they can stay in the games and they're able to clutch up, like on that last bridge hill, it's going to look good for them. So a solid game 1 from Envy.
Definitely was, and one of the keys to note, really, Momo, from your point of view at least, was there was just so many hardpoint breaks from both teams.
Yeah, it started off with Epsilon using Trinity Rockets to break through on Cathedral, then kind of taking streaks out of the equation. Broken got broke. You know, the Cathedral got broke every single time by both teams more than once. I felt like watching these 2 teams play, there was moments of brilliance and then moments where it was just a mess. And I don't know why that was, whether it was just 2 teams kind of going head-to-head and just butting heads almost. But I definitely saw flaws in both teams here in their defense for sure.
And obviously, you mentioned moments of brilliance. I think it's fair to say the final couple of hills, Envy played out pretty much perfectly, team.
Oh, it's fantastic. When Apathy is your lowest KD overall, you're going to have a good time, especially on Hardpoint. And then Slasher went sort of God mode on the last 3 hills in specific. The fact they were able to rotate to those hard points in tandem with each other. Their setup on the hotel hallway was fantastic. Apathy was looking towards that top bedroom. Slash was just looking down the hallways, just really easy kills for them. So, you know, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this EnVy lineup. They're proving me wrong, though. I thought they were going to come out here and kind of flop again, but obviously from that series, they're here to play and possibly take a top spot. Impressive win.
Very true. Of course, EnVy go 1-0 up in the series. We then head over to map 2, Search and Destroy Throwback. This one, of course, Epsilon do take 6-3 the final score. Hawkey started off 6-1. A great start from him. But in terms of EnVy's start, Merc, it was a complete mess.
Yeah, Teep and I were talking about it. It just seemed like they've played this, like, almost the style that teams were playing at a few months back, right? Like, it just seemed weird. And there was a lot of rounds where, just for instance, Apathy, like, he hit top ticket booth and he'd come down and get a 2 or 3 piece. But then the next round, like, they allow that to be open. It just seemed very sloppy from EnVy. Epsilon doing a great job, though, just executing well on their offenses, trading well. You talked about Hawkey. Hawkey also had an amazing game #1, but Josh, again, the big difference maker here at 9-6.
Definitely a great performance from him. Of course, remember, you noted, obviously, snipers in Search and Destroy. We've been pretty hypercritical throughout the entire year of, you know, how valid are they. But there was some moments that impressed you.
I'm always very critical because I hated that teammate on my team using a sniper. I'm like, you just got blooded again, or like, you're being useless. The one thing I will say is the usage from Epsilon sniper. Hawkey used it from the start. It worked. He used it again. It didn't work. He put it away. I like that. You know, he tried something different and it paid off. The one thing I will say is EnVy kind of like used the sniper to counter their sniper, and I don't think that's what you should be doing. You know, the one thing I did love was the fact that when they recognized the snipers there, Apathy and John were just like, boom, we're going. Like, we're pushing mid, we're being very, very forceful. And I think that was almost the downfall of EnVy. I think they were reacting to almost Epsilon's style of play.
100%, I agree with you, and especially those rounds towards A where Epsilon would take that bomb over there, or sorry, on the B side towards Silo. The fact that Apathy was the only one there with the NV4, they would back him down, and then EnVy's plan after that was, what, to play a retake? It didn't really make too much sense for me. You've seen it so many times. When you get that bomb down towards blue side, you just back up, and the other team has to run all the way over towards blue. There's several rounds like that for EnVy where they weren't really contesting the bomb sites properly, so it just kind of was a mess of a search and destroy for EnVy.
Very true. Series, of course, tied 1 map apiece. We then go over to the Uplink Frost. Final score 13-10 in EnVy's favor. And I mean, this was a little bit of a messy map. I'm going to be honest with you, boys. It was kind of confusing at times. We had players flying off the map and just some very interesting uses of FTL specifically. But again, it was a super slow start. This time it was a slow start for Epsilon, however, Merc.
Yeah, I mean, John, JCap, Apathy, all these guys just playing so exceptionally well. And this is something that we talked about, you know, just the ERAD usage. And going into this, I think you give the ERAD advantage to EnVy just due to Apathy and John. Even JCap, he probably performed the best. And, you know, if he's able to do that, you know, with an ERAD, Frost is going to be tough to beat on. Where Epsilon, Vortex, that's your main ERAD player. He has a 0.52. He definitely had to step it up in the slaying category. However, I mean, you see that 8 points there from Epsilon in the second half. They still were in the game. I'm not sure if EnVy sort of, you know, just slowed down. They just felt like they had a comfortable lead, but it was pretty sloppy from both sides.
And to that point, it was a very high-scoring game, Phil, but it felt like there was a ton of mistakes in there as well.
I just agree with Joe and yourself saying it was just a mess, sloppy. You can use so many words to describe it. There was great plays, yeah. John and Cap, actually, for me, like at the start, they were just beaming. You know, everyone was going down. They were, you know, just ERAD after ERAD and the wave after wave. It shouldn't have been that close. It really shouldn't. EnVy, when they slay like that, and you've got the likes of Apathy and maybe Slash and not having the best of games on that one, but he's not meant to. You know, that map doesn't favor him. It's where, you know, they should be winning, let's say instead of 13-10, it should be more like 8-1. You know, it should be more convincing, more controlled, more disciplined, and I just felt like it was like, oh yeah, we scored, oh, we just lost 2 points. Okay, doesn't matter. And I think that was kind of the story of this series. The Hardpoint I felt was sloppy, the S&D from EnVy was sloppy, and I don't know. You know, someone's got to win, but I just feel that EnVy should have closed that one out a little bit more convincing. Probably should have done it. And for Epsilon, it felt like they kind of collapsed at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, that first half didn't make much sense for me at all. They would rotate back to their base, which is exactly what you want to do, but they'd stack multiple people towards that ice side. There were several situations where Slasher would be the last one alive with the K-bar over towards Ship, and they weren't really doing anything to deal with him. He would had multiple chances to pick up back-to-back three pieces. People just body stacking on each other. It's like the communication just wasn't there. That first guy wasn't prepared to like take that first gunfight, and then the second and third person weren't there to get the trade either. A very odd scenario in that first half. They did bring it back, but I guess they couldn't stop the Schnappling.
And again, like Epsilon, 3 players in one map falling off. I think Vortex or Hawkey twice, it was off the side of the cliff. And it wasn't where...
That was the best one. He just saw him.
Like the crowd just started laughing. I was just like face palming on this deck. I was like, it can't happen. And that, like, I could have wrote sloppy or messy or whatever down so many times. I'm just hoping it's day 1, game 1, and it's a bit of nerves maybe. I'm not sure. I hope they get that out of the way. We get to some good Call of Duty, because I didn't really enjoy that. I'm not going to lie. Watching that was quite painful.
Definitely was. Moving forward, though, we'll talk a little bit about map 4, of course, the Hardpoint on Breakout. This one, I mean, 250 to 175 in favor of Team Envy, but Merc, this is probably Epsilon's best map in terms of Hardpoint.
Oh, no, I think it is, and I think they've made a few statements about it. I remember Anaheim, they dominated Luminosity like 250 to like 70 in pool play, so this is a map where you thought, all right, this game is going game 5, but this man on your screen right now, Apathy, had a monster game, and I think Envy, again, just did a great job coming out early, but then they broke kills when necessary. They were able to break the first and second commissary. I really think that changed it around. Slasher then was able to pick up some streaks, and you can see here, that's where Envy won, that commissary hill. And, Phil, you were talking about that hill number 1. You just felt like Envy was dominating it.
Yeah, I was kind of saying, kind of third rotation. Wait, hang on a second. Has Epsilon actually got a point on this rooftop? Because it just didn't seem like they were in the game. And then, not only that, but if you don't dominate rooftop, usually it flips and you dominate cell block. It didn't. Envy controlled that as well. Grave, granted, Epsilon came back. But I've got to say, Commissary was the way they lost that game. They got broke twice, maybe 3 times, Epsilon, and that's so unusual for them as well. They just like lost the important gunfights where they should have just been more set up and more... Right. I don't know.
It's just weird. Even on retail, you talked about it, how these guys were just breaking each other back and forth on those hills like Broken and Grave, what we're just not used to. You're used to like, oh, this is 60 points. You even heard the casters talk about it. Hey, they rotated. They got all the kills, but then it was like, oh, Envy just allowed Epsilon to get into the front and break him. It was just a very weird map.
On that as well, the one thing the first rotation onto Commissary, Epsilon, they had all of the Grave, then they rotated, and I think Maven was kind of saying that is the worst case scenario for Envy. I was like, they're not only going to get back into the game, they're going to get streaks off this. They're going to go near the payload. They lose it straight away, and instead of going plus 35, they go negative 35, the difference of 70 points. And that, for me, I was like, they've just thrown that away. And it was just back to rooftops. Oh well.
One of the biggest things, too, is the amount of players that died off of streaks throughout that game, too. Slasher twice was 50 points away. Dave used a really bad camo when he was on streaks towards the back to try and win Commissary after getting a 2-piece. When you break a hill, there's no need to pop the most powerful ability in the game in camo. There's just several decision-making issues from both sides, and we know how powerful streaks are on Commissary, on Cave. There's several situations where these guys would over-challenge. Apathy did it at middle. He instead of jumping out of the hill and getting to a safe spot, he just jumps out, gets naded. Just scenarios where we're like,
stood there.
There's too many scenarios in that entire series where we're just like, why? Where's your head at in a scenario like that? You got to get those streaks. You got to make the calm play in the scenario. But overall, Envy, the slang was there.
Yep, definitely was a great map, of course, coming from Slasher in terms of your kill column. But Envy, take the first series 3-1.
I just think that was huge for them, for their momentum. Obviously, they come off a boot camp. I think that's something we really haven't touched on, where they were together for about 10 days. And, Cap and the other guys were saying you've had some good days there. We've had bad days there. You can only imagine, but at least they put that effort forward. So hopefully it pays off for them this week.
It definitely does. Of course, we are now just a few weeks away from the biggest event of the year, the Call of Duty World Championships. And we are all so excited. For now, though, let's take a look and find out a little bit more.
Can't wait to throw those rings on combo. Back to the back. World champion. Attach is on it. He's on it. The Centauri's gonna fall. And Attach is gonna get the defuse. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2016 Call of Duty champions.